welcome to Perspectives Northeast. I'm your host Danny. I'm joined by Yayan.
Hello.
And John.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the housing market.
Yeah.
Housing in general.
Yeah, housing in general.
So what is everyone's experience with the housing market?
Well, I live in a house.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's got 2 bedrooms. One of them is an office, like a desk room with my...
Is this at university or is this at...
This is at university.
At university? You live in a 2-bedroom
private
house?
rental, 2-bedroom house. It's very good, very
nice. Do you have any
flatmates?
flatmates?
My
Roommates?
girlfriend, yeah.
Your
So I live
girlfriend,
with my
yeah.
girlfriend.
What about you, John? Any experience in the housing?
No experience in the housing market.
No? Do you live in a house?
I live in a house. It's a nice house. A
Yeah.
3-bedroom. Sorry to one up you there. A 3-bedroom.
Wow.
But I am still living at home, so there is that.
Well, to one up both of you, I live in a 7-bedroom flat with 5 people.
Very
That's
cool.
just wasteful.
What are the other 2 bedrooms
Well,
for?
The other 2 bedrooms, we're thinking it's going
Well,
to
no,
be...
it'll just be 1 bedroom, because you said with 5 other people, so it's 6
Oh,
So I've only got
yes.
1 bedroom, but we have a kitchen living room combo and ensuite bathrooms.
That's
So
pretty cool.
I live in student accommodation, so it's not
Ah,
as glamorous.
there we go.
It's not as glamorous as I'm making it out to be. It's not a 2-bedroom house.
There we
with an
go.
office. It's all my own space.
Lovely.
But we've got 2 bedrooms open, probably for international students, we're thinking. So
Is that your second year in
it's
student
my
housing?
second year in student housing.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
you know. But, yeah, so...
No, I'm still living at home with the parents.
Yeah, I mean, living at home, it's a 3-bedroom house at my home.
3-bedroom.
I don't
3-bedroom?
3-bedroom, 1
Yeah,
bathroom.
3-bedroom.
3-bedroom bath.
3-bedroom. 3 bedrooms. 2 bathrooms.
2
Because
bathroom.
my parents have an ensuite. That's
Yeah.
the only reason.
But, so...
God, I'm sounding like
Very
such
cool.
a-
So,
The right to buy policy.
yeah, the right to buy.
You probably know a bit more about this. than
Well,
us. You
I
can
think
explain it?
for our listeners, the right to buy policy is something that came in with Thatcher during the 1980s, or was it 79 or 1980?
79.
79, there you go, yeah. With the Thatcher government, and it basically gave council tenants, or pretty much anyone now it's been expanded to, the right to buy council housing stock at a discounted rate below market prices, essentially. So this increased home ownership, and at the same time it decreased the amount of houses that the council had on offer, and it is one of the massive structural reasons why we have this big housing crisis now.
How has the right to buy policy affected the Conservative agenda?
Well, conservatism is, especially with Thatcher, it's about individualism.
Yeah.
And if you have your house sort of as an economic entity, it's one of those big investments that's going to make you more individualistic. Yeah. So it sort of has benefited the Conservatives, and now there's all these people with a stake in capitalism.
It's benefited the Conservatives because more people are homeowners. Well, baby boomers, more the older generation of homeowners. There's no hope for us.
Yeah, that's one of the things about housing crisis now. It massively benefits older homeowners at the expense of younger
Looking at the
renters.
older generation and the younger generation of working class people, my grandma, not really a big worker. She used to work as a manager at Woolworths. If any of our listeners remember Woolworths?
I remember Woolworths.
Great. Pick and mix, lovely.
Woolworths is lovely. I remember getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards at Woolworths. But she was a manageress at Woolworths, or manager now, because gender language sort of...
2021, come
2021, yeah. She owns our house completely. I don't know if it was right to buy. I think it was before the right to buy policy.
My parents' house.
Because we don't live in a council house
That was right to buy, but my parents didn't buy it. The owner before. But next door, well, that was also right to buy.
Yeah.
Our estate, it's very much sort of like one half of the estate was right to buy, and some of it still is council housing. The other half, very much.
But now I work as just at Five Guys. If I wanted to get a house, I'd probably have to work full time, about 80 hours a week.
Full time, and you still
that
would
would
be
be
a house.
That'd be rental,
Yeah.
or rent an apartment probably.
Yeah, that's one of the things, like the prices of housing compared to the average salary. I think it used to be back in the 1980s when this right to buy scheme sort of came about. It used to be the price of the house was about 4 times your yearly salary.
Yeah. That's doable.
It's realistic, but now it's closer to 8 times nationally, and in London it's something like 12 times. So it really has jumped up.
Let's talk about...
Here's the thing, though, right? I mean, where I live, there's new housing estates going up everywhere. Like Wake Up Morning, there's one there, there's one there. But it's not affordable housing.
Yeah.
What is happening in the village where I live is, I mean, I think I ranted about this yesterday. I think.
Yeah.
I forget these things. Is people who have lived there ex-miners or whatever, who've lived there, working class, who've lived there all their life, are being priced out the market because these new houses are being built, developers are buying estates, lands, forcing people to sell their houses. So it's too damn expensive. Sorry, I don't really know. I had an idea, I had a thought, and it's sort of just...
I don't think this will really impact you, but if you want to disclose, how much is the rent on your 2-bedroom?
I pay £300 a month.
£300 a month. I pay for my 1-bedroom with an ensuite and a shared kitchen £150 a week.
Yeah. £80 just so I can join in. £80 a month.
So about $600 a month for me.
Yeah.
What's 80
I guess it does
160.
matter where you are as well.
I mean, I do get cash back on my house, so it's a grand. So I pay my rent and then I get £1,000 back once. Last year I got.
So is that your deposit?
No, that's just as an incentive to live there.
Okay, cool.
Well,
that's cool.
Call me old-fashioned, but surely incentive to live there would be £1,000 a year off your rent.
Yeah, but
none of this. I'm going to take £1,000 and give it back. Well, just don't take the money.
I think it's a good thing because it's sort of, instead of taking it, because you won't see it when you look at your rent, you'll just see you're losing money. But seeing that you're going to gain 1,000 triggers that sort of dopamine rush. I'm going to get £1,000.
I'm just thinking how they're going to rip me off.
It doesn't trigger me in my head, but I'm like going, I'm just getting it back. I'm like, got £1,000 in my life.
It feels better.
It doesn't trigger my dopamine.
Yeah.
I don't know what dopamine is, but
a happy chemical inside your brain.
Well, I need a lot more of that than that happy chemical.
So next discussion. So what are the barriers to building new homes? The Green Initiative?
Green Belt.
Green Belt. Yeah, that's a big one. So for our listeners, the Green Belt Initiative is something to sort of preserve green space around towns and cities. So you can't... It's basically... It is what it is. It's a green belt. So you can't... Cities aren't just going to expand endlessly. I think that was the main fear behind it. Cities like London just growing and sprawling and then just encompassing most of the south of England. With the Green Belt Initiative, that has been limited to some extent, but that also drives up the prices of homes because if you can't develop new homes, then you don't get an increase in supply. So that prices are going to go up.
We need to talk about monopolisation. Just look around, right? How many building people can you name? Like people build houses. How many companies?
Yeah, that's
Taylor Wimpey's one.
Yeah.
Barrett Homes.
Well, there's a big five. I can't remember what they're all called. Part of that is the Green Belt. Part of that is planning permissions as well, because you have to go and get planning permission to build an individual development. In other countries, you have zoning laws. So if you buy a plot of land, you know that you can actually build there. But with
planning permission brings me. Sorry, I'll let you finish your thoughts.
Oh yeah, with you have to get planning permission for individual development. So only large developers are going to sort of take the risk and buy a plot of land without knowing for certain that you can build houses there. So that's why you're getting this consolidation of home development with the big five firms, which actually drives up prices as well and sort of leads on to that monopoly.
My dad's a building inspector for the local council, public sector. He's probably not listening, but hello if for some reason he does.
Hi, John's dad.
Right.
Welcome to Perspectives Northeast.
And he
subscribe.
He says that they get tons of planning applications in. That's all he does.
Yeah.
And he says most of them are from these big companies wanting to build houses, maybe not in the green belt, but near the green belt. So, I think, again, we make brief reference to it in health. And what was the transport?
Yes, transport.
But it's the big corporations and the big businesses.
Yeah.
Calling the shots.
Yeah.
Especially in London, but to a certain extent northeast, I think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have these thoughts and they just don't seem to go anywhere. They just stop here. Well, what are your thoughts on housing and big business?
Well, I mean, if you look back, 70s, 80s, sort of the rise of block flats.
Well, go back to sort of Howard Wilson's Labour government.
Right, if you look now, people will sort of criticise socialism and communism by pointing out these USSR block housing, being like, oh look, why would you want to live like this,
Because it was good. It was well built, affordable housing.
Yeah, but then they're critiquing it, saying, oh, it's just a bunch of small houses all stacked on top of each other. But then near my house, I live in a block of flats. Admittedly, it's a bit more
Is this
sort of
is this
high
student or home life?
student. So it's a bit more high quality sort of.
Yeah, I think
design.
nowadays people, especially students, because you're living in those
Yeah.
sort of houses anyway,
But
you'd be
looking
less
looking
stigmatized.
over, like about a 5-minute walk away from my house into uni. There's like 4 blocks of flats, very tall.
Are those the red brick ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see them from.
Yeah.
But that's the same type of housing that these people are critiquing. So it's not a fault of socialism or whatever. It's just a cheap way to build houses for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because a few hundred people live in each block.
Here's the thing, houses today, I mean, sorry to talk about my dad again, but he said houses today, they are pretty poor quality.
Well, the new builds especially.
New builds, yeah. He says the problem with these houses, the ones that were built like under Wilson, Howard Wilson, is that they were well built and well maintained. But as the Thatcher, Cameron, Blair, all these neoliberals, as they went about their business and funding cuts, whatever, there wasn't the money to maintain these houses, like these flats, these new houses. So I think it's Thatcherism again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a buzzword, but
Thatcherism affects a lot more housing than it does probably any of the other.
Yeah, housing is such a massive issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're a young person, if you're anyone really, it's probably the biggest investment you're going to make in your life. So
definitely.
it affects everyone.
Let's bring in a new topic, sort of relating to it. Should housing be a human right?
This is a good one. My gut and my heart is telling me it should be.
Yeah.
But it's hard to imagine what that would look like in practice because it's so far off the system that we got now.
Yeah. John?
Should it be a human? I think you have a right to shelter. I think that should be a human right.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you define housing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because would you,
comes
for
back
instance,
to
a homeless
how you define
shelter, that's shelter for the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Would you define that as housing?
I don't think I would.
No.
If you go and stay in a hotel or whatever, would you define that as housing?
No.
No.
I think so.
So I'd say you don't have a right to housing, but you have a right to some form of shelter. That would be my. That'd be my 2 pence.
I think it's more of using that as a stepping stone
to housing
to get people into housing. Yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The first level, which is physiological, is housing, is shelter. So surely in a first world country, we can provide every person, even if it's just a flat.
There's no political will.
Somewhere to live.
We live in a society where we have enough. There's enough rooms and there's enough free houses. I think there's something like 25,000 empty houses in Northumberland.
Look at Thatcher, right?
Yeah.
Look at Margaret Thatcher. Look at this is a bit anyway. The miners' strike. Sorry, this it's somewhat related.
Yeah.
She famously called the miners the enemy within. If Thatcher hadn't had the miners and the trade unions to use as a political punching bag, she would not have been as successful as she was.
Yeah.
When I say
she wants to look
successful,
tough by breaking up.
when I say successful, objectively, Thatcher was successful. If you just look at what she wanted to do, she got done.
Electorally as well.
Yeah.
She did pretty well.
So I think it's a similar thing. You know what I mean? If you have no homeless people or no poor people, who are the Tories going to
blame?
Yeah, they are often scapegoated. You do see the scapegoating of, whether it's homeless people or benefit fraud, which makes up a tiny amount of
minuscule amount
loss.
Minuscule amount.
Especially compared with things like tax avoidance.
More money is wasted on tax avoidance and people like Rupert Murdoch and all these people avoiding taxes. Yeah. I don't quite know how this relates to housing, but
it does. Everything.
Yeah. Well, pretty much everything relates to housing because it's one of those central tenets of our society.
What about landlords? What are our opinions on these singular people monopolising, buying 10, 20, 30 houses for themselves?
Generally,
overcharging for them?
It's not a good thing if you have someone who had a person that they just get a job realistically because they're just making money off of
let's be honest, being a landlord isn't a job. Shouldn't say it is. Yeah,
it's not really a profession.
No,
you're not doing anything. You just got there first. Yeah. Anyone could do that.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to say, just ignore me.
No.
But it's like you can't as much as I feel that way, you can't really you can't just expropriate houses from landlords. You can't even, I mean, that's part of the reason why Jeremy Corbyn didn't go down well with the pensioners and the homeowners, and he eventually got, he had to, step down as Labour leader, because he was basically scaring all these homeowners.
I think 2019 had something to do with why he stepped down as Labour leader.
But it was also that's sort of why Keir Starmer's in there now, because he's not going to scare
the
homeowners
Tory
and
red.
Homeowners and pensioners.
He's a Tory.
Tory in red.
Yeah, he's quite centrist, isn't he?
Not he's right wing, I'd say, Keir Starmer.
Well, he's right on some issues.
So, talking about modern politics, Insulate Britain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are your opinions on Insulate Britain protests?
Putting aside for one moment the former protests, because I know some people get annoyed at that, I think they've definitely got a massive point in that, we do need to insulate properly if we're going to become carbon neutral by, when's the target, 2050? Is that what we're aiming for? Yeah.
Too late. So 2050, we're fucked at that point.
Yeah. It should be soon though. We should have been doing this for ages. We should have been insulating our houses.
But I think Insulate Britain and sort of climate change speaks more broadly about housing policy. Houses, I mean, I'm not really up to date on the recent, but houses are not built in an energy efficient, climate friendly way.
No.
It's just to get them up, sell them above market value. That's all they think about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it definitely hasn't been a priority in terms of the last... My headphones went a bit weird there. It hasn't been a priority, the environmental aspect of house building. I mean, we still build a lot of houses with materials that aren't sustainable, especially like big city flats.
What do you build houses?
Steel and concrete.
Obviously, steel and concrete bricks.
Yeah. You can't really have a house that's built from steel and concrete and it be sustainable. It just doesn't make sense.
So we apologise for that whirring. Let's just start it again now.
Yeah, we're having a bit of audio problems, but it's all good. But yeah, in terms of the protesting, I can see why people are a little bit annoyed, but also I think saying run them over is
the reaction to it
much.
is a lot.
Yeah, if your immediate thought is to run someone over, you're telling someone
more
online
issues than
that's a
the
bit
protests.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like, to get a bit off topic here, these protests would not have been, in my opinion, would not have been as negatively received if it weren't for the Black Lives Matter protests.
In what way?
Well, think about how people reacted to protests after Black Lives Matter. It was a lot more, everyone thought protests would be all violent, and
I mean, the thing that irked me...
People defended Grey's Monument as if they were going to tear that down.
Yeah, how are they going to get up there?
Yeah, and...
This is off
You need a crane.
Yeah.
But the thing that irked me about Black Lives Matter protests, we'll get back to housing eventually, is... Now, I support Black Lives Matter. Let's put that on the table.
Yeah,
but the thing that irked about me was... I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was predominantly liberals... Liberal people.
Yeah.
Democrats, even though anyway, enough of that. They were the ones who were saying, we must social distance, masks, vaccine mandates. Yeah, they weren't social distancing and masking during protests. Yeah. I mean, there's some masks, but that's what irked me about it, the hypocrisy between the COVID and the...
Yeah, I think that's what irked a lot of people. I think if that protest was going on at a time that wasn't COVID, then people would have been a lot more receptive to it. I don't think that
they'll just find another fault with it. That's what they do. Don't protest like this. Okay, we'll protest like this.
Exactly,
like
there would always be some issue with it, so you've got to sort of take that with a grain of salt. And the protests were outside as well, so transmission was going to be pretty low anyway.
I was so far off topic now that I'm not really sure.
How do we circle this back?
Well, we're talking about Insulate.
We could talk about COVID-19 and housing and... the impact of COVID-19 on housing.
That'll be the segue. There we go.
I mean, we all went through lockdown. A few lockdowns now.
Yeah. I mean, how many lockdowns has it been? There was the first one.
3 or 4.
There was
I think
the first
about 3.
There was the first one. Then there was the one in the circuit breaker in November. Then there was the Christmas New Year one.
I think that's all of them.
3.
3, yeah. How was everyone's experience of lockdown?
I controversially quite enjoyed lockdown.
I loved it. I mean, I'm sorry for people who didn't like it, whatever, but I loved lockdown, mate.
I quite like the furlough aspect of it, getting paid for
the
not
social
doing
aspect
anything.
of it, but
Yeah, that was
not
that's what
seeing
sucked the
them.
most.
But I feel
To me, that was the highlight, not
I
socialise.
feel like if this happened 20 years ago, it would have been a lot worse.
I don't think you would have been able to justify it 20 years ago.
But
I mean, what would
with-
people do?
But with, like, personally, I had a PS4, I had a group of friends, and we played every day of lockdown. We just,
Yeah.
because what else would we do? We played, just chatted, you know? We kind of just we talked, we socialised, so we still felt quite lonely,
Yeah.
being isolated, but it was a lot more,
Yeah.
we could talk about that a lot easier
Yeah, I get you.
than we would have.
Houses.
But it did
lockdown.
make a difference to say people in smaller houses.
Yeah.
Like if I'm quite lucky living, because when I was in Cardiff in the lockdown, and I live in a fairly nice house.
Yeah.
I've got my own room. It's very different to one of my mates who was at the time sharing his bedroom with 3 brothers,
Yeah.
which is not ideal in a lockdown situation where you're in there for 3 months. So it
A lot more than
definitely
3 months, wasn't it? It was
3 or 4 months.
It was at end of March, and it was
End of-
June they started to lift it.
Yeah.
In middle of
So
June.
a long time. It does. Housing definitely makes a difference in that respect.
I remember reading about COVID in January of 2020 and just seeing it as, it's not that bad because we got the first case around then in England. We got like 1 case.
Yeah.
It was
And
local, actually. First
Yeah.
case was treated at the RVI just
And a
down the
lot
road
of
there.
people were like, a lot of news outlets were saying that, it's not going to be that bad, but might be around for a while. And then it started getting gradually worse.
Yeah.
So you
That's
live in student flats. How was lockdown for you from the
In a student
perspective of
flat?
living in a student flat?
The third lockdown in student flats.
Well, is any lockdown? Any
The
lockdown?
first, I was at home, like family home,
Yeah.
and that was still really the same, sort of just in my house, sort of. But I did live with my grandma, so it was like, food was not an issue, but in the second lockdown and third lockdown, it was a bit more, didn't eat very well,
Yeah.
I think that made it worse, because I was eating just,
It's hard to get a routine as well,
Yeah.
especially when you're a student and
because I
you're
was
in
still
lockdown.
doing university classes, but it was all online.
Yeah.
So, I'll admit what I did was I would wake up at the time my lecture was on, just grab my laptop because I kept it on the floor next to my bed for convenience. I'd grab it, turn my lecture on, just go back to sleep.
Yeah, our
Because
timetable was weird.
I just
because
fall
we
asleep.
had
'cause,
3 hours of lectures back to back, but each one was a
Yeah.
different module. And
Yeah.
then by the time you'd done them all, it was hard to consolidate.
Yeah.
Not a problem for us. 3-hour lectures back to back, was it?
Yeah, I didn't do it.
We had the same time too.
I didn't watch any of the lectures. I went to the meetings, sort of didn't take them
Lecturers,
in.
if you're listening.
Lecturers, if you're listening.
Sorry.
Lecturers, if you're listening. I went to everyone. I engaged. Just if you don't remember me, it's because my name was John Trotter. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. I engaged. Yeah. No, I'm Danny. But I passed. I did all my essays. It was a bit hard in lockdown, just because I didn't know the library existed. It was.
So is that?
Yeah, I didn't get I didn't have access to the library, so it was a bit of a.
Yeah, I think that's something else
Like-
with housing
To-
that's
to-
important. Was like some people don't have access to their broadband speed isn't as
Yeah.
good. So if you're trying to attend an online
I mean-
lecture, then it's it's
Speaking
a
from
bit tough.
speaking from personal experience, the broadband at home, it's all right. But I mean, we're fancy. We're getting fibre optic. Sorry.
Yeah.
But at the top of the oh my word, I'm not doing it anyway. At the top of the village, that's an old cable, and so much the thought of water is enough to.
Yeah. So
Should broadband be a human
broadband
right?
should be a human right.
I don't think so.
You don't? No?
In modern society, with everything being so interconnected, like I saw something just before coming here. I was on TikTok and someone was talking about how people complain when homeless people have phones, but how else are they going to find housing?
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone has a
bed for
phone.
the night.
You have to
Like-
have a phone.
The thing is, phones aren't a privilege anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you can buy an iPhone 6 for, I'll Google it. It'd be about 100 quid, which admittedly might be expensive for them, but there are programs that aim to give these people phones.
Yeah.
So just to round this all together, we've talked about right to buy, landlords, Greenbelt Initiative, COVID.
Yeah.
What do you think the overarching sort of future?
Yeah,
really
what do we think should happen in terms of the housing market?
housing.
What's everyone's ideal situation? Where should we go?
Idealistically, we should just abolish the housing market and just give everyone a house. Make them green, make them safe to live in, make them sort of good quality, you know.
I think I'm going to be a bit more pessimistic here, because that's my job, to be pessimistic. The 2008 financial crisis, that was house prices.
Yeah.
I think we're heading the same way again.
Well, you're always going to have a bubble with housing.
I think within the next decade, there will be a financial crisis that is...
We're overdue for one, aren't we?
That is, at its best, as bad as 2008. Yeah. But I think it could potentially be as bad as the Great Depression.
But maybe.
They said that COVID will be as bad as the Great Depression.
One thing that interests me about housing is sort of a differential sort of quality and size between countries even. Like, if you spend, like $1 million in London, you get, like, a house I have at home. That's very small.
Yeah. Let's pick that up.
But if I went to, like, Texas and I had $1 million, I could get a mansion.
Yeah,
let's pick that up. House prices, I mean, my dad knows people.
Yeah.
And he said he knew a couple, and they used to live in London. They had a small, very small, well, not a small flat. I think it was a small house in London, and that they sold up, moved up here. And in fact, they got a mansion.
Yeah.
For the month.
Yeah.
So yet again, that's actually beneficial to the north, actually, this time, rather than transporting NHS and health.
Yeah.
House prices are cheaper up here. Now, you could argue it's because no one wants to live here.
Oh, quality of living, like cost of living, is a lot cheaper up here.
But people don't want to move up here.
Yeah.
Because there's not...
The more people move up here,
the
more expensive it becomes.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
Yeah. Especially when landlords are coming up and buying these houses and then making them private rentals.
So it's like, do we want...
I don't know if you can Google the average house price in the North East and the average house price in London.
I will Google that now if you two keep talking.
Yeah, well, it's like that point I said earlier about the difference between the wage. I mean, it's like the average in the UK is a house will be 8 times your wage now, but in London it's 12 times.
If we just look at the southeast, I don't know the time scale here, I do apologise.
Yeah, this was in 2015.
House prices had increased by 29,000, while the median salary... Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on.
Oh, I've got an example here.
Yeah, just stop me because I'm getting confused.
A house in Stonechat Place, which is a 3-bed and it's terraced.
Is that in London or Newcastle?
That's here.
Yeah, right.
The 20th of September this year, sold for £136,000.
That's not bad. That's
21 years ago, it sold for £38,000. So that's a big increase.
Yeah.
And it's...
But you've got to look at it in salaries. If salaries increased more, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but they haven't. That's the thing. The salaries, the houses in comparison to the salaries have massively gone up.
That's not just a northeast thing. You can say the same for London, etc.
Everywhere. A house again in Newcastle sold for 135,000 in September, but in May of 2000 it sold for 31,000. So that's a 100,000.
The northeast, and especially Newcastle, is going the same way as London. House prices are going to become unaffordable. What a pessimistic note to end on.
Yeah.
Well, if we
sorry, listeners.
All that to look forward to.
If we look at
invest in a house in ISA. Well, you still can.
Yeah, I got help to buy ISA, just to brag.
If we look at London, 3-bed terraced house. 4-bed terraced house in 2004, so 4 years after, sold for 615,000.
We could turn this into a game, couldn't we? Like, guess the house price.
Yeah.
And then it sold around the same time as the 100,000 one.
Right, let me guess how much it sold for.
Guess.
So how much did it sell for in 2004 again?
In 2004, it sold for 1,600,000.
16,000.
615,000, sorry.
615,000. I reckon 1.5 mil.
I'm going to go high. I'm going to go 1.7.
You're the closest. 1.4.
Damn.
8 million.
Crazy.
Yeah.
If you bought that house in 2004, that you've
you're set for life.
Yeah.
To be fair, it looks
you've
like
made
a nice
almost
house.
£1 million.
Yeah.
But could you say the same for people in the northeast? I don't think so.
I'm looking at let me get to the Newcastle one.
So it just shows... Oh, sorry to bleach on here.
It's fine.
It just shows how in all these areas, health, transport, housing, the northeast, I mean, some benefits living in northeast. I'm proud to be, even though I sound like I'm from the
London.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in the northeast. I'm proud to be from the northeast.
Yeah.
I could imagine living in London with these house prices.
Yeah.
But this is probably one area in the North East in a way better.
Yeah.
Because
it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, but I don't know about the house building in London and North East.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So I think from these 3 podcasts, the takeaway message is the North East is getting shafted by the government.
And that's cool. We'll put on the poster.
Yeah.
The North East
Stick it on a t-shirt.
shafted.
Well, thank you for listening, guys.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
So, yeah, thank you for listening. We've gone on for a bit too long.
Yeah, go get yourself a house if you can. If you've got a house, then good for you.
Well done, yeah. Go get yourself a house.
If you've got a house, sell it, see how much profit you get.
Yeah.
But before you get a house...
Sell it to someone young. Downsize if we have any older listeners. Downsize.
Before you get a house, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you, John.
Put that notification bell on.
Ewan. Yeah, ring that bell.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see... Well, we won't see you. This is the last one.
We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
This better be the last one, otherwise it's going to look a bit odd.
Yeah. It might be the last one.
Bye.